For years, I have been a coward. I was afraid of playing the original Resident Evil games, calling myself a fan of classic survival horror without having played any of those games, like some kind of a fraud. But after avoiding them for a long while due to a variety of reasons, it was time I rectified that mistake. I wasn't entirely new to the franchise before I decided to play these games, of course. I had already played 4 different Resident Evil games before: the Resident Evil Remake, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 7, and a bit of the Resident Evil 2 Remake, a game which I didn't finish. For the original Resident Evil games, though, I heard they were the gameplay heavy counterparts to the story heavy Silent Hill games, swapping narrative depth for mechanical complexity. So, between that and my preference for narrative focused horror games, I steered clear of them for a long while. But things have changed since then. I'm not as shit at games as I used to be. I've beaten multiple PS1 games, gotten used to combat heavy fixed camera games, and I was now ready. Now, I generally set up old games myself, but this time I asked my friend Kuro over on Discord for some help. He is the biggest Resident Evil fan I know, and his constant posting about this series is a big part of why I played these games. Before I start, some of the things I say in this video could be sacrilegious to classic Resident Evil fans, and if my takes are actually unhinged, I hope it is unhinged in an entertaining way. There's a couple of things that make the first Resident Evil a bit weird for me to talk about. It's my 5th game in the series, and I played the Resident Evil Remake, which is one of my favorite survival horror games, years before I played this one. The remake has the reputation of being basically the first game but better, but it's also just plain different in a few ways, like the graphics for example. I don't think Resident Evil 1 looks better, but it's certainly more colorful than the remake, which I would endearingly describe as the color palette of yellow. It's about
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 1 has a legendarily bad intro. It's edited like a low budget horror movie scene with janky camera movement, the random cuts of the effects. Complete with some pretty awful acting.
No! Don't go!
It's what we call Kino.
Joseph!
Oh yeah, we can't forget about the cast introduction segment either.
Chris Redfield.
It's so campy. I love it.
Jill Valentine.
I don't know what happened.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Well, I'm sorry, but he's probably...
No. What is that?
I'll go and check.
Okay, Jill and I will stay in the hall in case of an emergency.
Chris? Take care.
Less dramatic scenes like this aren't hilariously bad, but the delivery is extremely flat and wooden, and the rest of the voice acting in the game isn't much either, which is a shame cause I do think the story isn't poorly written. Like reading the different notes in the mansion paints a pretty interesting picture of the whole thing. The visuals of the Spencer mansion is pretty weird for a horror game, but not weird like how it generally is in a horror game. Like it's all clean and brightly lit, no dark hallways where something might lurk just out of view. In general, I think the game looks a bit ugly. It being low-res and lacking details is a given for its age, but it has neither the unique art style nor the creative use of resources needed to catch the eye. It carries a small amount of creepiness inherent to being in a huge abandoned mansion, though I don't feel it looks particularly lived in. I didn't feel in any part of the game that the visuals were particularly dread-inducing unless you are afraid of the occasional ugly carpet or wallpapers. Which now means the gameplay has a huge part of the responsibility of building tension. And the game does a great job at that. It took me a bit to get used to the fixed cameras in this game, but they're actually just really well placed where I could never blame the cameras for my death, and after a while I was fighting zombies way more than I was fighting the controls. Now, my friend told me Chris was the hard mode for the game, and I had already decided the pussy era was over. So I started RE1 with Chris and his 6 inventory slots and no lockpick. And I'm glad I did. I found Resident Evil 1 to be the best balance of the first 3 games. The game conditioned me into calculating every single bullet fired. 30 bullets, 3 zombies in the way, which means after this section I will have 12 bullets and I will have an extra inventory slot to carry more items on my way to the save room. The evil residents of Resident Evil are interesting because it's often more satisfying to avoid and slip past an enemy than it is to actually kill it. Choosing which one of the enemies to use your ammo on is a vital part of the experience. I have even reloaded saves once or twice because I wasted too many bullets. All the enemies are ammo sponges and bullets are limited, but keeping them alive can come back to hurt later as health is equally, if not more precious than ammo. There is also the question of inventory space. It's often necessary to make trips multiple times to get all the items in that room or area or to actually bring the items needed to progress, which means multiple opportunities to get your neck eaten off by a zombie you might have decided to keep alive. Because surely Chris couldn't fit a lighter or a small key in his pockets and needed to keep it in the trunk in the safe rooms or have it in one of his 6 hole slots. The fact that the save rooms are far apart, the number of saves is limited, it's easy to run out of ink ribbons to save, and that beyond every new door can be something dangerous means that every new corridor I explore has to be a calculated risk, like being hungry and eating at a sketchy place. When you are deep into exploring a new area and come across a safe room and the music starts, there's no better relief. The soundtrack and sound design in general is pretty good. The music in certain parts gives the distinct feeling that someone is watching you. And sometimes the track would ramp up during a jump scare while I panic and fuck up. But there is no music playing at all, as the loud sounds of my footsteps remind me of the fact that I am pretty isolated here. The music does a pretty good job of complementing what's happening on screen. I was waiting for the meme basement theme though. But turns out that's from the director's cut. Now I will never know the song that played in John Wayne Gacy's head. Another thing I like about the game is that it actually has really good pacing and difficulty build up. A few hours in, I was getting into a good groove with the game. I unlocked the shotgun, fucked up some zombies with it, explored a whole new area. It was going well. Then comes the hunters. Now I knew they were coming from the remake, but they're way harder here. For one, there's way more of them, and for two, they can chop your head off even at full health. There's too many of them for the shotgun ammo I have. Every room in the mansion from this point becomes a mad scramble to avoid these things. I fucking love the hunters. A perfect difficulty hike at the perfect time. The game also has cutscenes, character interactions and boss fight every so often where it's spaced out in a really fun manner, but I feel that I'm making some steady progress. Like coming across Rebecca early on. It's nice to find other STARS members even if it sometimes sounds like this.
It's me, Chris.
Is that you, Rebecca?
The game also has the occasional puzzle to break the combat routine. Now, there's some good puzzles, but the average puzzles in the game so often just comes down to following basic instructions or busy work, which are a bit boring. This gameplay, it's fire. I talked shit about the mansion before, but the layout works so well where I figured out where every enemy is and tried to figure out the best route to anywhere. I got every part of it mapped in my head. It's a looping layout where we slowly keep unlocking larger and larger parts of the whole piece. But the mansion isn't the only area. There's the guardhouse, where you will learn the joys of being chased by rabid dogs and swatted by random plants. Through that area, we enter the underground, and this is where the plot picks up. There will be spoilers ahead. We meet our fellow STARS member Enrico.
Enrico!
Don't come any closer, Chris.
Wait, what happened?
Double crosser!
Don't! Hell.
Umbrella.
I wonder who that was.
Albert Wesker.
Which becomes clear in the lab section following this, where we manage to unlock one Umbrella researcher's computer. You can tell they are the villains from the fact that their keyboards use an alphabetical layout. Umbrella's drug testing has resulted in multiple mutations, and we find out that Wesker is their operative. So, unquestionably dangerous research from an evil company. Time to blow up the whole place. But of course, Wesker plans to put a stop to this.
Like this.
Rebecca!
Don't move. If you do, I'll kill you. Chris, I have something to show you. Now, walk. This is the ultimate life form. Tyrant. Chris? Stop it.
Wesker, you're pitiful. This is your savior? You say this failure is your savior?
You can make sure yourself whether Tyrant is a failure or not. Go to hell. Jill will join you too.
What?
Don't come this way! No!
Ah, the irony of evil fuckers dying due to their own overconfidence. It never gets old. But now, the tyrant is my problem. Why is it walking so slow? I've seen more urgency in Weed Pros after they wake up at 12 am on a weekend. So after quickly dispatching of it, I regroup with the other STARS members and the self-destruct timer starts up. I rush to the helipad and launch the flare signal, seeing which a helicopter arrives. But it's not that easy. The tyrant has come back for revenge. Have you seen one of those mobile ads where you fuck around for a bit before the X appears and you close the ad? This fight is the equivalent to that. You wait until the rocket launcher drops. So, not one, but two back-to-back disappointing final boss fights. But hey, I enjoyed my time with the game when this banger plays after the ending. And that's the first game done. Now on to
Resident Evil
I was much more interested in this game since I never finished the remake of this one. The reason I dropped the remake wasn't difficulty or anything, I just thought the sewer section sucked. Now I chose Claire in Resident Evil 2 as I wanted to compare with the remake where I also played as Claire. So off she goes to find her brother Chris. Resident Evil 2 is instantly more confident in its presentation. Gone are the amateur live action cutscenes, replaced with much better directed and cooler looking SMVs. Compared to the slow build up to the first zombie in RE1 as I got to it after exploring the quiet mansion for a bit, here the game starts in front of a burning truck as a dozen zombies surround me. And that is the difference between RE1 and RE2 in a nutshell. By the time I had reached the police station, I had already faced more zombies than I had in an entire half of Resident Evil 1. There's been a noticeable jump in the level of details in the environments of the game. Gone are the cozy and clean mansion hallways, replaced with detailed backgrounds of city crime, piles of trash lie on the street as zombies roam. Everything looks dirty and rusted. Even inside the police station it looks like an aftermath of a war. Broken barricades, glass on the floor, endless clutter. There's a gloomy aura to all of it. The stained walls have paint peeling off while damp seeps through everything. I really love how this game looks. A good level of growth while feeling like a real place. Even the bigger structures in the game look rusted. And the music complements it perfectly. Resident Evil 2 has my favorite soundtrack of the original trilogy, and in almost every track that plays during exploration, there's a sense that something sinister is going on. Like the rot started well before the zombies arrive. It's as if the piano carries a sense of desperation with it. You can tell the situation was far from normal even before the outbreak started. Just look at the history of the police chief of Raccoon City, sexual assault, a resume with Umbrella Corp, and some very interesting hobbies. Hell of a place to come look for your brother or have your first day at war. The police station in RE2 is bar none my favorite location in these three games. It was a pretty strange place well before the zombies arrived, with the weird statues and layout. Exploring the whole place room by room paints a detailed and cohesive picture of the condition there right before the zombies arrive, showing the chief's paranoia that resulted in the ammo and weapons being spread out over weird intervals all over the station, and showing exactly how the zombies took over the station. There's even small details like a party for Leon's first day at the job that makes the whole place feel alive. It also is of note just how the place changes over time, as hallways you once cleared out can just as easily fill up with zombies again. It even has my favorite puzzles in the series. It's such a shame that the rest of the areas aren't even close to the quality of the police station. The sewers in particular, beyond the story elements, have the vibe of being a mediocre fan level. It's not as annoying to play as it was in the remake, but it's entirely unmemorable, visually empty and boring to explore, and about the point in the game where story notes start becoming sparse. But no matter the area, the game still maintains a creepy atmosphere. The atmosphere is helped by the fact that the voice acting is notably better than the first game.
Claire, you made it.
Yeah. Have you seen a little girl around here?
Yeah, you just missed her. Who is she?
I don't know. But it's too dangerous for her to stay here alone. Leon, I'll go look for her. You go and find us a way out of here.
Of course. But before I forget, here's a radio. That way we can keep in touch if something comes up.
I really like both Claire and Leon's performance in this one. It's still not amazing, but it's good enough that it doesn't get in the way of enjoying the story for me this time around. Claire in particular I liked even more than in the remake, where I found her a bit awkward, but here she's just calm and collected. There's still some janky performances from some characters though, like Sherry.
I grew up alone. But now that you're with me, I finally have someone to rely upon.
Sherry. Rest here for a bit. I'll be right back. As soon as I found the antidote.
Yeah, children don't talk like that. And that delivery makes it even worse. It doesn't build up well, it's like, oh shit, I have to cry in this part. But not everything was an improvement over the first game. The gameplay is basically the same as in the first game, but I mentioned just how many more zombies there are in this game. The amount of ammo increases even more. Not once did I feel like I was running out of ammo. I mean, it's an American police station. This is probably the normal amount of pistol rounds that should be here. The question is, what they were doing with this many grenade launcher rounds that would violate the Geneva Convention. But whatever the reason, the result is that even scary enemies like the lickers die as easily as squashing a bug. And that's not the only issue. The fact that the save rooms are so abundant and the number of increments so high that I never felt like I was in a danger of not being able to save removed a large part of what made the choice of saving in the first game so compelling. The gameplay really put a damper on the rest of my enjoyment. It removes so much of the carefully crafted tension when I can just mow down enemies with little to no care. It's like a pizza that looks great, smells great, but the pizza bread is wet. Now, I did try the hard mode, and that pushes the dial way too far in the opposite direction. Where it moves past being engaging to being firmly in the tedious zone. There's a good middle ground between this, but the game just doesn't have that. Now, I could try limiting the guns I use or stop healing or saving, which I did try to a point, but if I have to try myself so that the survival part of a survival horror game is true, it's really not a good experience. Which is a shame because I really enjoyed the story. There will be spoilers ahead. Uncovering the history of Chief Iron's serial killings in the police station.
I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
The story of a researcher who discovered the G virus.
My precious G virus.
And how he caused his own mutation and the outbreak to save himself from the company he worked for.
Hurry! What is this thing? Fire! Fire! Son of a...
How his wife Annette is trying the hardest to save him. In the midst of this, their daughter Sherry is left all alone. Now the mutated Birkin chases Sherry around to a...
In the entire story, every G-virus bioweapon, including William, has the ability to implant embryos into other life forms. That's why he's after Sherry.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Throughout Claire's entire time being with Sherry, William relentlessly goes after them, even after implanting his embryo. That virus is now severely affecting Sherry, who at this point can't even move. So Claire goes deep down into Umbrella's research facility to find a vaccine for Sherry. On her way to get the vaccine, she is confronted by Annette.
Annette!
You killed William. I'll never forgive you for that.
But she can hear William approaching.
William, you're alive.
After William kills Annette, a countdown begins as the facility's self-destruction is imminent.
Self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated.
But not before a final showdown between William Birkin and Claire, who is determined to not only survive but also protect Sherry, who has been neglected by her parents for far too long. Now, I said the gameplay was easy, but not all of the gameplay is boring. Boss fights have taken a big step up in between the games, and fighting Birkin and his forms was a serious challenge. Birkin moves from slow to fast over his form changes, but the sheer power of his strikes remain consistent. But still, Claire takes him down and manages to reunite with Leon aboard a train away from the facility and save Sherry. But that's not the end, because after you finish the game once, then it pulls the cool storytelling trick, the Leon B campaign. Leon's campaign might take place over the same general areas as Claire's, but it has exclusive characters and almost entirely new story, puzzles, weapons, and even enemies. I was having fun seeing how some of the things I saw as Claire actually happened, like how this helicopter actually crashed.
Stay back! Don't come any closer! Stay back!
But the helicopter wasn't the only thing that crash landed. Now, after playing as Claire, I was pretty sure that Mr. X was a feature added by the remake. But then boom, this bald motherfucker is chasing me everywhere in the station, bursting through walls, jumping down through the roof. It's just such a cool mechanic for a second playthrough to increase the difficulty while not making the station itself completely different. Though true to the rest of the gameplay for how imposing it looks, it sure has the urgency of a retired pensioner. Now it is easy to take him down too, and it rewards with enough ammo to make it worth it sometimes, but often I am not carrying enough ammo to take him out in the first place, or I am already on low health dealing with other enemies. The A-B playthrough concept is genius and it's executed really well. I especially like the fact that Leon feels the impact of Claire's actions in the game. Like if Claire closed the steel blinds on the windows, zombies won't be populating the hallway. And if she left the extra pockets for Leon, he can just pick it up. It's great. The fact that beyond their meetings in the game, Leon's campaign not only fills up the gaps in Claire's story, but also shows there's far more going on and it's seen at a first glance. There's the journalist Ben who was arrested by Chief Irons. You know your work was important as a journalist when they put you in jail for reporting. And there's Ada Wong. She is in Raccoon City looking for her boyfriend John, an Umbrella employee. Her interactions with Leon are legitimately hilarious.
What was that all about? Running off like that was reckless and stupid. Those zombies are everywhere, not to mention that thing that got Ben.
I was there, Leon. I know.
Look, Ada, as an officer, it's my job to look out for you. But we're not going to get through this alive if we don't work together, okay?
All right. We'll do this your way for now.
Like you can tell she's just playing Leon the greenest rookie cop on planet Earth. Now, Leon may be a beginner to all this, but he is clearly both competent and extremely brave and kind, which does impress Ada, who patches Leon after he gets shot, and also takes a huge hit for him.
Run!
Ada! Ada!
Leon, please, escape.
No. We're a team. I can't just leave you behind.
I'm just a woman who fell in love with you. Nothing more.
You have known him from less than an hour, and weren't you just here looking for your boyfriend John? But Leon doesn't have time to think about this or more.
Self-destruct sequence has been activated. Repeat, the self-destruct sequence has been activated. This sequence may not be aborted. All employees...
Leon takes Sherry and rushes to the train out of the lab. But before he can leave, Mr. X reappears for the final time, now stronger than ever. I actually do like the final encounters in this game. Fighting both against an enemy at their most twisted and also against makes for a great fight.
Is that you? Ada! Game over.
I have no idea how Ada is alive, and as far as I can tell, no one else does either. While this is how Claire's campaign ended, Leon shows there's still more that happened. William Birkin is one stubborn asshole, and after dealing with him for one last time, Leon and Claire manage to escape the city with Sherry, and Leon ends it with the last bit of cheesy dialogue for the game.
Come on, time to leave.
Now? What's wrong? Is something following us?
We have to go. We don't have any time to waste.
Go? Where?
Hey, it's up to us to take out Umbrella.
Now, I was halfway familiar with Resident Evil 2, but for the next game, I had no idea what to expect. I started Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
Resident Evil.
Now, nothing is a bit of an exaggeration. I knew that Jill was one of the protagonists, but I didn't know she was the only protagonist this time around, and I knew that Nemesis was a thing. If RE2 overwhelms with zombies early on, RE3 is a straight up onslaught. Not only are there a shitload of zombies, they are way faster, likely to corner and ambush you from multiple sides. Your pistol doesn't shoot fast enough that you can reliably stop a group of zombies from taking a bite out of your shoulder. And even in terms of visuals, while it uses a similar style to the city areas from Resident Evil 2, the streets are much more open in this game. The main roads branching out in different directions, with every part of the city swarming with zombies. You can now climb up and down the stairs without going into a canned animation, but that means zombies will climb up the stairs to get you as well. and there's not enough ammo to take them all down, especially since shotgun rounds aren't a guaranteed kill for zombies from mid-range anymore. Jill is ready for this, of course. As you can see, she is dressed for the occasion. She is wearing knee-high boots. Jill's outfit is kind of hilarious. I mean, it's badass that she is taking zombies down wearing this, but it's very funny that she has a jacket tied around her waist. But no, the real reason she is ready is because she knows how to push zombies away and dodge now. I mean, I don't know how to dodge, she does. But seriously though, it's a pretty odd system where you have to shoot your gun at the right time to dodge, or aim at the correct time. Not having a dedicated dodge button makes it really awkward to learn. I never quite managed to consistently land the dodge and shoves. I got better as the game went on, and the ones I did land saved my ass multiple times against both zombies, zombie dogs and other assorted enemies, and of course the game's namesake, Nemesis. A bioengineered monster armed with a rocket launcher, Nemesis is the biggest threat I have faced in any Resident Evil game. In the first encounter with it, it appears out of nowhere as Jill meets her fellow STARS member, Brad Vickers. Poor Brad doesn't stand a chance as he quickly gets impaled by the Nemesis. Extremely dangerous, tanky and relentless in its pursuit, the Nemesis makes for a formidable enemy. Now, I said that the pussy era was over, but I am not taking him on with a knife and a pistol. I abandoned Vickers' corpse and ran inside. And well, it's not like the game expects me to fight him every time. In fact, the game has these live choices in most of the Nemesis encounters, and sometimes the options are two ways to run away from it. Even if you are running, the Nemesis is faster and will just chase you down and smack you. And you have to run away a fair bit to actually slip past it. It will chase you around as you slam head first into a zombie gnawing on your head. Now, I did take him down once by choice, and that meant I was suffering from severe ammo deficiency syndrome. Symptoms were dying to dogs I didn't have enough bullets to kill. The game even introduces a new system for ammo. Like, sure, you can find ammo by itself, but you can also find gunpowder lying around, which you can press to make different types of ammo. A, B, C for pistol, shotgun and grenade launcher rounds respectively. And it's possible to combine them to make something like acid rounds or flame rounds for the grenade launcher. It's a pretty cool system, and the fact that we can make better ammo after crafting a bunch of one time is also great. It does make inventory management a bit of a nightmare though. Resident Evil 3 not only fixed most of my problems with Resident Evil 2's difficulty, it also made Jill a much better character to control. She is not only faster and more responsive, but features like quick turn and the dodge make it a much better experience from the point of view of an action game. There's just a sense of urgency to the game, like it requires me to be quick and clever. And there's a general faster pace to the action. And the survival part of the survival game still remains because of the sheer number of enemies. Like, you could clear out an entire street and come back a while later and it's full again. The way more and more zombies keep appearing after doing anything, you would think a whole city got infected or some shit. But Jill isn't alone in being trapped in this fucking nightmare. A squad of Umbrella mercenaries are stuck as well. This squad, led by Nikolai, is skeptical of Jill, and it's likewise for Jill.
Decide to help us out? It looks like we're the only ones who survived. We should work together.
No, we can't trust her.
Why? But Sergeant, we need her help. Our unit's down to you, me, and Lieutenant Mikhail. That's it. And Mikhail's hurt bad. If we don't cooperate, we won't be walking away from this mission.
And it's likewise for her, who for obvious reason doesn't trust anything Umbrella at this point. But it soon becomes very clear Umbrella left this entire group to die, and none of them had any idea what they were up against other than saving civilians.
I need to ask you something. Why did Umbrella send your team here?
Our mission is to rescue the civilians.
How kind of you. Considering Umbrella caused all this in the first place, those liars!
Look, we're just mercenaries, hired hands.
So, since the streets are exceptionally dangerous, Jill manages to fix a cable car,
It's looking good.
and with Carlos from the Umbrella Murd group decides to escape. But it's never that easy.
Mikhail!
Jill! Get out of the cable car, now!
Mikhail, wait, don't!
Get out of here! Hurry!
From there, Jill escapes into the clock tower, where she can call a rescue helicopter after figuring out how to ring the clock tower bell. To do that, some puzzles need to be solved. Now I really like this section. Clock tower is still filled with zombies, but solving the puzzles in here was an enjoyable change of pace from the near constant action so far. A neat little departure from the city streets, backed by the most dread-inducing track in the game. You can tell something is about to go very wrong. So we do the puzzles, alert the helicopter, and it's time to leave.
We're saved. Down here! It's finally over. Huh? No!
This is the hardest fight in any Resident Evil game I have played. Carlos even destroyed its rocket launcher. Even then it took close to a dozen deaths as I kept dying after being smacked, grabbed or impaled multiple times. But after I had used up all of the best ammo, I managed to take it down. Just barely. Now, Jill gets infected with the virus. So we take over Carlos and have to go to the hospital and save Jill. And it introduces the hunters again. But hey, Carlos has an assault rifle with an insane amount of ammo in it. So it wouldn't be a problem. And it isn't. But
Nikolai? You're still alive?
You saw what happened.
What's going on?
I'm one of the supervisors. That's all you need to know.
Wait!
Yeah, guys, I don't think he's one of the good ones. Nikolai is weird because he is by far the most interesting character, but he feels kind of like the side plot in the game. But the main plot is paper thin. Like, yeah, Nemesis and escaping Raccoon City, but that's about it. So Carlos goes and gets the vaccine. But the game introduces Nemesis once again, stronger than ever. Now, after Jill gets cured by the vaccine Carlos found, she makes her way to an umbrella factory. No, not one of those, a facility of the evil company Umbrella. You know, even if the broad goal is to escape to safety in all three games, we always seem to end up in the den of the beast that caused it. Now, here we meet Nikolai again.
Since I'll be the only one who knows what really happened, I'll have more bargaining power when it comes to discussing my bonus.
Then why kill me? I'm not on their payroll.
What you eliminated for reasons of their own. The amount is modest, but there is a reward to be claimed upon the confirmation of your death.
That's great. Except I have no intention of contributing to your retirement fund.
That was great. Other than the fact that we have to face Nemesis again. After taking it down, Carlos informs Jill that a nuke is headed Raccoon City's way. It's time to get the fuck out of here. But not before Nemesis makes his last appearance. Now the final fight with Nemesis rocks. I had freeze rounds that turned it into a flesh slob which couldn't attack, but defeating it with a railgun, pitting Umbrella's weapons against each other is extremely cool. Then dumping a mag into it to finally defeat it when the nuke is approaching is just ice cold and badass. And with that, it's over for both Raccoon City and my journey through the original Resident Evil trilogy.
That's it. I've had it. This time they've gone too far.
Now, I am one of those weirdos who likes to play games because of their historical importance to the medium, sometimes even to the detriment of my enjoyment, though it's very rare that I actually don't like old classics, and this trilogy has been no exception. I enjoyed my time with it. I won't lie and say I have found my new favorites, but all three of these games were fun to play and the stories were campy and always entertaining. I have already said thousands of words about the games. So I will just say, if you can look past the fixed camera angles and tank controls, and considering how popular that style still is in the PS1 horror niche, I would still recommend these games. In fact, the originals are still far better than a large number of its imitators in the indie space. So if you enjoyed those and have not yet played this trilogy for some reason, definitely give these games a shot. For now, I will take a little break from zombies.